Can economics make your mouth water? Well, Dosa Economics does just that. We all admire India's ex-RBI chief Raghuram Rajan. But during his term, he received much flack when his policies reduced interest rates on fixed deposits. This meant that our grandparents' favorite investments now offered lower returns. Rajan recalls how he got a lot of letters from retirees complaining about how this move, with the added inflation, is affecting them. On one hand, if we look at the things from their perspective, it is right. A person who once bought a dosa for rupees 20 now has to pay 40 rupees for the same, thanks to inflation, and on top of that, Rajan's policies now offer lower returns on his investment. But Rajan disagreed. He explained this using the dosa economics. If you want to buy dosas and the price today are rupees 50 per dosa and rupees 1 lakh in savings. If he invests this in an FD and receives 10% every year, this means that he gets rupees 10,000 after a year. But at the same time, with the inflation at 10%, this means that he can now buy 182 dosas with the interest you receive. Now, Rajan also explains another scenario where the interest rates have dropped to 8%, but in this scenario, inflation is further under control and is currently at 5.5%. Under this situation, with 8,000 rupees interest that he receives, he can only buy 152 dosas. This shows a difference of almost 30 dosas in 2 periods of high interest and low interest. But this is not the full picture. Here, we have not considered the erosion of capital which takes place due to increased inflation. Rajan explains that earlier the 1 lakh invested was eroded by 10% and now it only erodes at 5.5%. So, once again, in the situation above, if the investor takes back his deposit along with interest with 1.1 lakh, he can buy 2,000 dosas. On the other hand, with 1.08 lakhs, he can buy 2,047 dosas as his total capital has lesser erosion. What Rajan tries to explain here is that we often focus too much on the returns and what we can buy with our returns after considering inflation without taking a note of how inflation has affected our principal. His example shows that in the times where the returns are low and inflation is under control, it is always more beneficial to investors in comparison when the returns were high in periods of high inflation. For more interesting content, follow Bullsmart.